It has been a while since I have done this. I'm feeling rusty. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel, where everything is about slow living, enjoying deeper meaning, and learning about high sensitivity. So for today's video, I've written down a couple of subjects that are all highly sensitive person related, and I'm just gonna draw them in random order, and I have no idea what I'm gonna say about them. So let's get surprised together. Understanding high sensitivity. The importance of learning about the trait. This is a great one to start with. I learned about it right after I got sober from severe alcoholism, and I always thought that certain things that I was experiencing were attributed to my alcoholism. And then when I got sober and some of those feelings, like feeling overwhelmed all the time and things like that, I was still experiencing that despite not drinking anymore. So I was kind of wondering what was different about me. Why did I seem to struggle with these things so much? It wasn't until after I finished reading a book called Quiet about introversion that I started thinking more deeply about my personality trait. The book Quiet already resonated with me a lot. It's about introversion and the silent power of the introvert who doesn't necessarily speak up in a crowded room. But then when the highly sensitive person book came into my life, that was a real awakening for me. It was really refreshing to find from a scientific perspective what was different about my personality compared to the majority of people, and why it always felt so different and isolated and like I didn't fit in somehow. Why I felt overwhelmed in large crowds, why bright lights were unbearable, why I seemed more easily excitable, why I would sometimes get tunnel vision when I would feel too overwhelmed. So all these little things suddenly fell into place when I learned about the highly sensitive person trait. And it was also a great comfort to me that it was a biological trait and not some kind of disease or malfunction inside of me. Because I think with my alcoholism, I already felt like I was somehow defected. And so this was like a breath of fresh air. So to me, the importance of having a book with scientific evidence and data that explains a part of my personality that I was puzzled about my whole life. I mean, that is just such a great comfort. And I still enjoy reading other people's experiences with their high sensitivity trait because it manifests different for everyone. And I still find that I learn a lot by learning from other people's stories. And of course, when you understand your trait better, you can also discover some tools and coping mechanisms to navigate this overwhelming world better as a highly sensitive person. And for me, that is more like trial and error. It's not like you get these tips and immediately you're not struggling as a highly sensitive person anymore. Some days I still get extremely drained despite all my best efforts at prioritizing rest, avoiding energy vampires, etc. Still somehow I feel like I just can't get enough done in the day because I get depleted a little bit too easily. There are certain things that I'm still exploring and learning about my trait and how to manage my energy better and avoid overwhelm. I think it will be a lifelong journey. I don't think I will ever feel like I have arrived. This is the perfect formula. And as I age and my body changes, I will probably have to adapt even more. So that's the power of knowing, so that you can explore these things and you can improve the quality of your life and your daily energy and overwhelm and all of that. Let's see what's next. Intimacy. Do we love deeper? All right, I did an entire video about love and intimacy for the highly sensitive person because I definitely think that it deserves a deeper look. When it comes to lovemaking for the highly sensitive person, I feel like we definitely tend to seek deeper meaning through the act of physical intimacy. For me, for example, one-night stands or casual sex have never resonated. And growing up in a culture where casual sex seemed almost the norm, I started thinking that maybe I should be able to enjoy casual sex, because why can I only indulge in sexual intercourse when I'm in a long-term, deep, meaningful, committed relationship with a partner? So I gave it a try, and I just couldn't get the appeal. It felt like a betrayal against my own body or spirit or something. It just did not feel right to me. The question you want to ask yourself is, have you ever been loved as deeply as you have loved another? For me, I can say that I do think so. And that's also why I know the difference between the kind of depth of love and intimacy that can almost transcend this earthly realm. And I think that knowing that that is possible makes it stand out even more when you're in a relationship or being intimate with someone who doesn't seem to reach those depths. I can't say that that is a purely highly sensitive trait that we tend to want to reach those depths, and it's almost like this innate yearning for deeper connection. But in my experience, it does seem to have a strong connection with the highly sensitive trait. So yeah, it can make intimacy a very lonely place, because if you're the only one feeling that kind of deep connectedness and the other person cannot reciprocate, then you feel a little bit of a void. But on the other hand, if it is reciprocated, then it is something absolutely magical. So while it can be a lonely curse, it can also be a magical gift. So do we love deeper? Well, I think we're certainly capable of it, and we're more inclined to love deeply. For the HSP, superficiality just has no place in life. It's just the way it is. Next. Dealing with high conflict people. I notice I'm filtering myself a lot. I don't know why, but okay. Let's just be open and honest. I remember dating someone in particular who seemed always to challenge me. Whatever I would say, he would say but no, and find some way to conflict what I was saying. And it wore me down. I found it so draining and exhausting that rather than communicate, I would just fall silent and kind of wither away in the background. You do have those people that seem to somehow thrive on always looking for conflict. So how should we deal with these people? In my situation, the best solution was to walk away and end the relationship. But sometimes it's a situation where you can't walk away, like at a workplace or a family member that you have to interact with. In that case, clear, consistent boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. People won't always respect your boundaries, but the more consistent you are with expressing your boundaries, the more likely that eventually people will get it. And when you're interacting with these types of people, try to be a bit more concise, straightforward, very neutral. Try not to give them anything. Don't feed them the fuel for their fire of conflict. All right, next. Emotions. Lingering emotions and feeling the emotions of others. This is an excellent one. So emotions are a big thing. Like literally, we can feel them very grandiosely. When it comes to intense emotions, I notice I can hold on to things for the whole day and it'll bleed into the next day sometimes. And if it's a shared emotion with someone else, I'll notice if they're not highly sensitive, often they've long moved past the emotion, whether it's good or bad. And I'm still like lingering in this emotional soup. And if it's a heavy emotion, like maybe it's with a partner and you've had a conflict, but you resolved it and now things should be fine, but the pain of that initial conflict or the confusion or whatever it was, a misunderstanding, like that feeling, I might still carry it with me despite the conflict having been resolved. So it's not like I can just shake that emotion and, oh, now everything's fine. The person on the other end might lose their patience and say, but we already discussed this. Why are you still stuck on that? Why are you holding on to that feeling? I just simply need the time to let the feeling sink in and dissolve and find a healthy way to release it. And that just takes more time for me. But it can be very frustrating because you also want to just move on and be lighter. And you don't want to drag other people down with your heavy emotions. So sometimes it feels like I am a burden to others when I cannot shake these emotions quick enough. Since I've learned about mindfulness and meditation, I definitely can let them go a lot easier than I used to. But it takes conscious effort. However, when it's a good emotion, like if you're elated, it can also be great because then you enjoy that feeling much longer. And feeling the emotions of others. I wish sometimes that I knew for a fact when an emotion was coming from me within or from someone else in the room. Because I honestly have a hard time distinguishing sometimes. Maybe I'll feel like this emotion doesn't feel like it makes sense for me. Where is it coming from? But then my instinct will try to talk me out of thinking that it's someone else's emotion, because what kind of a thing is that I'm feeling what they're feeling? Like, this has to be me. But deep down, I know certain emotions are not my own, even if the other person in the room doesn't realize that they're feeling a certain way. When I ask them, why are you sad? Why are you angry? And they're like, I'm not sad, I'm not angry. Yeah, you are. I can feel it. So those are weird little things that a highly sensitive person or empath, because I am definitely an empathic, highly sensitive person, can experience. Sometimes I think it's beautiful that I can feel so connected to another person that I can sense their emotions. And it can help me understand my friends and loved ones better because I can literally feel what they're going through. But other times, I would like more agency over what I'm feeling. And I don't know, despite knowing all the tricks out there, how to let go of this feeling that isn't coming from within me. I don't know how to block other people's feelings. So sometimes I just wish I had this like force field shield that I could hold up and, just bounce it off. But until then, your feelings are my feelings. Next one, I'll get it in the lens. All right, and now we are at our last one. Overexcitement. So this one kind of goes hand in hand with emotions. I remember in high school, my voice would like suddenly get a lot louder if I was talking about something that I was really passionate about. And my sister in particular did not like this when we were in public. She would feel like I was making a spectacle of myself and tell me to tone it down immediately, please. I became hyper vigilant about the fact that sometimes I would be overly animated when I'd get very excited. And then I started toning it down, and it's now like in my 30s that I realized that why should I suppress that? Why should I tone myself down? I mean, I was feeling good when I was feeling elated and excited, and then I think, oh yeah, now I have to tone it down, and then that feeling gets suppressed. So I'm not giving the good feeling space. So I kind of wish I had been given more room to just freely emote without judgment, because I'm already the kind of highly sensitive person who gets lost in my head. Self-judgment, self-doubt, all of those things. At a certain point, it becomes very paralyzing, like you just don't know how to be and who to be anymore. So it's very important to just allow yourself the freedom to emote, whether it's good emotions or bad emotions. Just feel your feelings. And if they're not your feelings, then feel the other people's feelings. It went on the lens. You couldn't see it, but it went, that was close. I'll take it. Well, thank you so much for sticking around with this impromptu HSP topics video discussion. I had fun doing this. It was trying something different. I realized I hadn't made a video in a long time, and I was suddenly itching to show up with my camera. So until the next one, ciao. Okay, ready? I give up. This is actually hard to talk about.